What is happening, PGA DFS and golf betting fans? Thanks for joining me on the course and player preview for the RBC Canadian Open. Finally, we head north of the border, the first time in a couple of years, as the COVID restrictions ended up canceling the tournament the last 2 years. But we are back. The RBC Canadian Open, or the Royal Bank of Canada, they have been a proud sponsor of this event. And of course, the RBC Heritage down in Hilton Head for quite some time, a great partnership with the PGA Tour. So now we head into Canada. We're going to Royal St. George's, not to be confused with where they played the Open Championship a couple of years ago. This is the one just outside of Toronto. Now, with the last time we've played here, there have been 5 Canadian Opens played here at St. George's. Last time was in 2010, won by Carl Peterson. So let's check in to see what we found out about that event and what we can expect going forward this week. Now, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel here, and also take note of our new sponsor, PrizePicks. I'll tell you about an Awesemo deal we've got going on with them and a little bit about PrizePicks if you don't already know about that site. A great place to differentiate how you invest in your golf betting and DFS golf. So, okay, let's jump right in now to the Royal St. George's Golf Course, a par 70, 7,100 yards. I expect we'll add a little bit of yardage here since the last time we played in 2010. Now, back in 2010, we didn't keep stats as well as we do today, but the driving accuracy probably falls a little bit above this tour statistical average this year, which is right around 60%. And greens in regulation, which is right around 64%, likely comes in just a little bit above that. When we look at the scores from 2010, it being a par 70 and the fact that there are 3 par 5s on the course and still is a par 70, I expected to play rather easy, especially given the winning score back in 2010 was minus 14 by Carl Peterson. Again, a par 70 at 14 under, that is a low score when we talk about the finishing score. So let's learn about why it's pretty easy as we look at the hardest and easiest holes. The hardest holes, the par 4 4th, the par 3 13th, the par 3 16th, and the par 4 18th. Anytime we get 2 par 3s as 2 of the toughest holes on the course, we see that there's just not a lot of trouble to get into on the other ones, as the holes are not that long either, just stretching over 200 yards. So again, expect a low-scoring week here this week. Now, when we switch over to the easiest holes, the par 4 first, the par 4 9th is part of a easy stretch of golf. The 9th, 10th, and 11th holes are some of the most scoreable on the course. The par 5 9th, the par 4 10th, and par 5 11th, all going to give maybe even 2 eagle chances, and certainly a short wedge on the 10th hole, the par 4 10th. All right, now let's learn a little bit about the last event, the last Canadian Open, won by Rory McIlroy. Now, of course, it was on a different golf course, but expect something similar. The field is relatively similar to how it was a couple of years ago in terms of the dispersion of being very top-heavy and not very strong in the middle. So if you have one of those top-end players play their best, we could see something like we saw McIlroy a couple of years ago, who basically dominated the event. Scored 146.5 DFS points, one of the highest outputs that year. I think he won by something like 30 or 35 DFS points, so crazy. Also, had the average top 10 salary coming in above $8,500. In fact, it was $8,800. This is one of the highest that I have looked into. Again, we just see that a very top-heavy field. The best players that come here to play end up playing well. And then there's a bit of a drop-off as the middle of the field and the back half of the field aren't separated all that much. So interesting to note there. Also, average ownership ticked up from around 7% to 10% back in 2019. All right, now let's go to the player preview. It is a Canadian Open, or an Open, I should say. So we're going to get a full field of 156 players scheduled to tee it up. 5 of the world top 10. That makes people think that, hey, this is a pretty good event with a strong field. But when you find out there's only 12 of the top 50, so that means only 7 golfers of the next 40 ranked in the world are teeing it up, we see why we're calling it a top-heavy field. That's going to make odds and everything throw a little off, and maybe shorter on some golfers that you'd expect to see in the mid-20s or 30s. Ended up being in the teens. Let's start off with our first clicks here and explain exactly why I'm talking about. Let's go to Shane Lowry, who has been a pick for a couple of months now, but has not been able to get it done. Now he comes to the Canadian Open, where this course may be a relatively good fit for him. but he's at 16 to 1 odds. Now, if he ends up winning, of course, we're not going to care that he's 16 to 1, but still much shorter odds than we're used to seeing with Lowry. Now I want to go on to Cameron Champ. Well, he hasn't played his best the last couple of starts. He has had a good stretch through this May and June. April and May with a couple of top 10s. And this golf course is easy. And typically Champ ends up playing better on easy golf courses. His couple of wins have both come at 16 under or better. So with 3 par 5s and it being a par 70, I really like Champ this week, 130 to 1. And my first click, well, this is a little bit different. This golfer is on the PGA Tour via the Korn Ferry Tour last year, but was injured. He's missed the last 6 or 7 weeks of professional golf, but decided to come back on the Korn Ferry Tour before coming back on the PGA Tour using a minor medical. Ended up coming in 2nd place on that. I'm talking about Nick Hardy. Hardy came onto the PGA Tour. I had him as one of the top 10 rookies to watch out for, but again, injuries and missing cuts didn't help him. Now he's back, looks healthy, and because he hasn't played in a while, the odds makers are throwing him up at 250 to 1. I like him as an each ways when those odds do come out here this week, so take a look at Nick Hardy. So Shane Lowry, Cameron Champ, Nick Hardy, those are going to be my first clicks. And now I'm going to take just a couple of minutes and tell you about our new sponsor here at this show, Prize Picks. If you guys haven't checked them out already, well, let me tell you exactly who they are. They are daily props-based contests. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to use promo code Awesemo for a $100 first match deposit bonus. That's the first time signing up. Use that code. You're going to get $100 free to your account. Great thing about Prize Picks is there's no sharks, optimizers, or mass entries. You can pick up to 5 players in your lineup, but you don't have to. You can pick 2, 3, 4, or 5. If you pick 5, you can get up to 10x your entry. So pretty cool there. Also, let's say you like the NBA Finals and you want to play a little golf, you can do cross-sport entries. So let me give you an example of one of how Prize Picks works. Let's take the first round score of 68.5, and you're going to pick over or under. Depends on the golfer, of course. It could be Shane Lowry this week since we've already talked about him. You're going to pick over or under. Then let's say you want to pick a prop for the NBA Finals. Say Jason Tatum over 28 points, right? Well, you take over 28 points for Jason Tatum, and you take under Shane Lowry's 68.5 first round score. You combine those two, and you get about a 2.5x your entry. That's how Prize Picks work. Now, click the link in the video description below to head to Prize Picks or download the Prize Picks app in the App Store or on Google Play. Now, again, they haven't put their golf odds out yet. I'm doing this at Monday at 9:15. So when I do my other 2 short form videos, the sleepers and the values, I will be adding a couple of Prize Picks to those. So thank you to them for the sponsor of this short form video. And of course, make sure on your way out, you like and subscribe to our channel here so you get notified when our content comes on air, live, or anything else. Of course, we have our 2 live shows this week, the PGA DFS Strategy Show with Ben and Eric. I believe we'll be back on it this week. That's on Tuesday and Wednesday, 4 o'clock. Ben Raz and I are going to give you the live before lock special. We've had a good run the last couple of weeks with golfers. Wow, we didn't have Billy Horschel. We had everybody else in the top 5. So we'll talk about that. And of course, everything you need to know for the RBC Canadian Open. So until then, everybody, good luck this week. Win some tickets for the big contest next week for the US Open, so that we can win the million. Good luck, everybody. Cheers, and we'll see you then.